Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jim Toscano here, and welcome to the Monday night live stream on Saturday morning. Who knew? And as many of you know, my guest today, of course, the wonderful Billy Cobham is with me, and we're a few minutes late. Billy had a little trip and fall incident. He's okay. Everything's okay. So we're a few minutes late, so I apologize for that. But Billy is here, and he is well, and that's what counts. And that's all I'm going to do for the intro, because we've done this. We've been on already. We're going to pick it up where we left off in our last conversation, kind of, sort of. And without any further ado, the wonderful and amazing Billy Cobham is with me today. All right. How you feeling, Bill?
Hi, everybody. Yeah, okay. I'm fine, Jim. I'm trying to get rid of some of the stuff that's on my desktop so I can see you guys better.
Okay.
But everything's cool. Everything is more than cool, man. It's all good.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you're here.
So where were we at?
Well, I went back and I looked at our last interview, and kind of, we were getting into a little bit of the history, your history from when you were a child. You were mentioning about your dad was playing solo piano at some clubs, and you were going there, and occasionally being able to sit in. I'm just checking our standby. Hold on one second. Let me just make sure our queue is up. All right. Un momento. Yeah, live on Facebook. Checking our standby. Hold on one second. Yeah, we're there. All right, good. All right.
I'm trying to do that myself, man. I'm on desktop one. I'm trying to figure out how to get you back. I don't know what happened.
Okay.
But all of a sudden you're gone. But I'm here.
Okay, you can hear me though. Okay, right?
And I can hear you, but I can't see you.
Okay. So
and
that's okay. That's okay. I mean, if you want to see us, head over to. You can go over to YouTube. You can see us, or on Facebook. But in Zoom, I'm hiding my screen because I'm featuring you, so you won't see my face.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, you may not see my face in there.
I get it. Okay. All right.
And but you will see us over on the other platforms. But so basically, man, like where we had left off, I was kind of going through the childhood thing. We had Dom in there, so we were talking a lot about the clinic, which I do want to bring up real quick. Is that next week, November 28th, once again, you're doing the masterclass series, A Guide to Stress-Free Drumming, and I believe it's the odd time signatures version of it, correct?
Right. It's the odd time signatures for it, and it's also the discussion of the one key, which has now become the theme. I've decided to make this the theme song of the Billy Cobham's Guide to Stress-Free Drumming, which is Cuba on the Horizon, which has some very interesting twists and turns.
Yes.
And as everybody will see, because it's our last presentation for this year, and so everybody who's taken part, Dom, Gary, husband, Dennis Chambers, and Will Calhoun, along with me, will all be playing this tune in one particular clip, and it shows that all roads lead to Rome, and eventually we get there by various means, and it shows how each of us, in essence, approach playing the same tune. And all of this goes under the heading of our how to interpret and present based on your fundamental concepts, your ideas, the music that's put in front of you,
right.
And how to work together with your colleagues and how to be in sync with yourself. There's a lot of information there.
Yeah, indeed. First of all, it's a great tune. I've been fortunate enough to have a little inside scoop into it, right? So, and seeing how everybody is interpreting that tune and how different each person's interpretation is, which is such a beautiful topic to see that across the board. And I was kind of privy to kind of the assembly of the whole thing, which was really exciting. And but beautiful tune. And you wrote this tune. Now, when I was asking you about the early days of writing, you were talking about two fingers and writing on a keyboard. And I wanted to ask you about the evolution of the writing process, because as percussionists, we may write and play that way on a keyboard if we're not trained on piano, so to speak. So are you still four fingering the writing process, or has it evolved?
Well, this is evolved. Yes, I'm not still two fingering. If anything, when I use a keyboard now, a piano, more testing the interrelationship between certain chords that I want to incorporated into the foundation of a composition. But so I'll play the chords, as to be a very good help for me is a software called Sibelius.
Yes.
And I use it to write, and I can hear the notes, I can write the chords, and in real time, and then come back and change what I want to alter it to the way that I would like to have it heard. Now, the educational side of that is that as I'm writing, I'm listening, and I'm also looking at the information that any composer would put down, chord changes and all. And with Sibelius, I'm also phrasing. I'm using the various mechanisms to phrase in the way that I would like to hear the song done. And so I'm seeing all of this. I can write the drum parts out. So I'm actually teaching myself to compose. And every step, it just gets better and better, because I do make mistakes, yes. And I find out what my mistakes are, and I build on that foundation.
And that's the whole thing, is to keep at that, because I use Sibelius as well, mostly for writing drum parts, and I did my book in Sibelius. I engrave in Sibelius, and I've also found that for writing bass parts, chords, sometimes I'll take the actual rhythms that are in my drum part and put them into the staff on a piano staff, and let the piano, let the drum groove get interpreted into a piano staff, and then from there start manipulating it. It's a really strong program. And I really prefer it to Finale. Have you used the other platforms, or are you strictly on Sibelius?
I'm exclusively on Sibelius because I'm most comfortable with it. But I started with Finale, and I felt it was way beyond me, because I just didn't know, there were too many moving parts for me. And so therefore I backed away at an early point and found Sibelius to be much more user-friendly for me, for what I had in mind to do. I knew that if I took a track for drums, it was just one single staff, 5 lines and spaces, and on those lines and spaces, or above or below, would be certain sounds that would come. And I would just write linearly the drum patterns that I saw, because I already was familiar with writing drum easy. And it always ended up coming after everything else. I didn't have to write a drum part for me, because I was never concerned about what I would play until I heard the music. I couldn't forecast that.
Right.
So I never got involved in that and got too much into the whole thing of and how it's going to say. No, man, just write the melody first, listen to the melody. What chords go on? That's just the way I would go. What chords would back up that melody? What in chords fundamentally can be three notes that virtually stack up on top of it vertically. And you're like, okay, this chord will lead to that chord, to be based on that note. Is somewhere inside that note, could be either the lead note, the top note, or the root note. It depends on what you're hearing.
Yeah.
And you just continue to build on that, not considering any rhythmic thing or not. Just does it work harmonically?
Right.
And just take the simple things step by step by step, and the next thing you know, you have a composition. No matter how long it takes, as long as you stay at it, it works. No problem.
Yeah. And as far as, did you have formal composition studying in your formidable years, or did this mostly just come by ear, and then you sort of trained yourself with these tools?
It mostly came by ear, and being in the presence of some really great musicians who wrote all the time.
Right.
And this was kind of like, writing music is like taking shorthand. Once you learn the process of taking shorthand or typing on a typewriter, it comes very easy. It's slow, yes, everything is slow. But we couldn't walk before we crawled. It's something we have to go through. So you take as in playing the drums, you've got a problem where you're a weak bass drum. You take everything away and practice the bass drum. I
Right.
mean, it's very simple stuff. And you finally get yourself sorted out where you want to add another component, you add another component. It's nothing fancy. It's no you don't need to have a metronome that gives you a pulse on your arm, because you didn't know all the time that in your head there's always been a metronome. It's called your body clock.
Right.
But if nobody's telling you that, so somebody comes up with this idea, I can sell this product for X amount of bucks that does what your body clock does, but they leave out that part.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So you end up buying this thing that goes to boop, 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 boop on your, before you go. I mean, some people need that. It's like you already are your own teacher if you just think about the logical route in which you have to go to make all of this work, man.
Right. Isn't there another wacky product like that called the thumper that is like in the drum throne? So it's like keeping the
that
beat
one?
right in your booty.
Yeah. And that's a little bit over the top. I mean, again, I don't even turn it on.
Right, right. Yeah,
I mean, what I'm looking for is not enhanced low end and punch. Past about 1 or 2 dBs.
right.
I just want something that gives me a certain kind of insurance in itself. And hey, you guys, I'm sorry.
That's okay, you go on.
Okay. And so therefore I've got to, so I just make this happen by doing that. I don't want anything to be too much of a blanket on me. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Tea time. So
You bet.
I got my green tea right here. There we go.
Yeah, well, I got my ice cream right here.
Ice cream, yeah.
With green tea. Yeah.
So back to the tune. So this tune it was written specifically for the masterclass series, is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so
Say that again.
So you wrote this tune specifically for the masterclass, is that correct?
No, I didn't. I wrote the arrangement
Okay.
for this 1986. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
I recorded it on I think it might have been the first time. Yeah.
Yeah. And as far as the performance on the recording, so did you play the keyboard parts in, or did Gary play the keyboard parts for this particular thing?
What I did is I set up a whole template with all the lines, everything that's written from my score.
Right.
And I assigned each instrument in simulation a track.
Right.
So I had 2 sets of keyboards. I had whatever else is left there, horn. And so I had stems, as they call it.
Yep.
And I then gave it to my engineer, and we separated all of that. And I played the drums first because all of that stuff was in sync. And
Right.
what I wanted everyone else to do was to play with me.
Yeah.
Okay, so they would be in sync with the track, and then I gave each of the instrumentalists who were playing other instruments other than drums. I had them play the part. So Nicky O had a part, Steve Hamilton had a part, Mike Mondesi had a part, David Dunsmuir had a part. That's my band. So I just sent them the music, and they did it at home.
Right.
Everything on, and then when I got that, I mixed it at home in Bern, and sent that mix without my drums to Will, Gary, Dennis, and Dom.
Right.
And let them play on the same played on without me.
Yeah. Nice. And so Are there other tunes that are going to be debuted in these master classes, or is that pretty much? Well, this is the last one for the year, right? So
Yeah, but there's about 10 more coming.
wow, oh my goodness. So in 2022, we can expect more of
Yeah,
these
there will
master
be at least
classes.
10 songs. And if we, if we, I intend to record, that's my minimum. I mean, I have a songbook of around 300 to 500 tunes.
Wow.
So I'm just taking stuff out that I feel relate to what we're talking about
Yeah.
in certain performance environments, including ballads, things like this, odd meter stuff, like Spanish Moss or something like that, which is in 9/8, and then it goes into it's in 9. Sometimes it's 9/8, sometimes it's 27/8. It depends on the phrasing.
Right.
And now we talk about phrasing and how that interacts with everybody, how that relates to the rhythm section.
Wow. And I have to say, I mean, looking at your discography, it's been really prolific, the amount of records that you've had as a leader. So
right.
In the beginning of that phase, was it and in the music business was completely different back then, I realize, but was it a difficult sell as a drummer, as a band leader in the genre that you play in to sign for these records? Was it difficult in the beginning, or do you think the music business was more open to drummers as leaders? I mean, we had the likes of obviously a lot of the jazz masters, right?
Yeah.
And did you find any friction in that, or was it pretty smooth sailing?
I think that I'm very, very lucky in that the companies that signed me kind of didn't care what I did. I mean, I was just, and if something happened, everybody would be surprised.
Right.
They didn't think enough of me to expect that anything else would happen, except that they knew I had a history.
Yep.
It was like lightning struck with me once or twice in Spectrum and Crosswinds. Then after that, things started to tail off because everybody knows the record business is a lot of politics, and if you're not with the right souls, you probably won't go past a specific point, unless you have one factor that we now also almost don't have because of COVID more than anything else, and that is to perform live.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'd say that there was a time when we, unlike now, where we could perform live and sell our recordings. Back then, in the 60s and the 70s and 80s, maybe 90s, just to give it, those record companies, the record companies that were strong, did not want you to sell your own records on gigs. That means that you were buying your record from them, giving them their cut, and selling the records for whatever you wanted. And what they wanted to do was control your take.
Wow.
So therefore, you could not really, they wouldn't give you any records. They tell you, okay, when you go to a city where your record is, you have a new album on, now we've got to set up marketing and a middleman. This person's going to take you to this record shop, and you're killing yourself doing that while you're trying to play the gig.
Oh my God.
Okay. Let's not talk about what kind of gig you got. Okay. All of a sudden things turn. All right. So now there's not a whole lot of record companies anymore. I mean, I've been into situations where some of the companies that I signed with after all of this, they didn't want me to, when I said I needed X amount of recordings and I wanted to buy it, and I wanted them to press it up and then I would pay for it, they told me that they didn't want to get involved in that because they give all kinds of excuses for why the record could not be accessed. And I'm saying, but I have a tour. I can sell records. We can make money. I'm already committed to paying for the records myself in advance, or taking the record on consignment.
Right.
And paying the company first before once I receive the money, their percentage goes to them. Everybody's happy. No, they didn't want to do that either.
Oh my God.
So then, I mean, I got it. So then I had to, not then, I had already done it. I had a production company from the very beginning with Spectrum, but now the production company was really in full swing because I was seeing that, actually the people that I was involved with were hostile partners. They really didn't care. They just wanted me, they wanted to control me and keep me down. So therefore, I continued to build on my own. And that's why I have so many recordings out there that are available, because no one else was giving me a shot.
Oh my goodness.
But me. And then, you couldn't go to the manufacturers. I mean, they're having trouble just trying to stay afloat on their own. And if they weren't, they already had just enough people that they were committed to, that they had to take care of before me. So then again, I had to go find my own market.
Oh, wow.
I mean, so this is nothing really new, man. This is all, I mean, people can do the mental math and come up with why I'm where I am. But it's not because anybody in the record business wanted me.
Man. And now, I mean, that's pretty much standard now, is you have to make your own records. You have to do the marketing yourself. You have to put everything out yourself. It's a totally different thing. You were already doing that pretty early on, which was, of course, a really smart move, because then you're able to market the stuff.
It was a move of desperation.
Right.
That's all it is. It was a move of desperation. I didn't know. I knew I had to work. And if no one was going to listen to me, what else am I supposed to do? So I could just back off to the side, as I tried 2 or 3 different times and got burned pretty heavily when they understood that I could sign with an agent. Even I remember one agent telling me, "You can sign with me, but I can guarantee you that I'm not going to do quite very much for you. I really don't have time, but I'll take you on." And he was saying that I'll take the agent's commission. You find the work. I'll do some calls maybe to confirm, and then you're on your own.
Yeah. So really, what do I need you for? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Oh my God. Would you say, like, because I know I brought this up last time, because for me, this is one of my discovery points when I was really discovering your body of work. But in 1985, when Warning came out, I was hooked on vinyl, of course, right? Because still early 80s. Was Warning sort of any kind of a pivotal point with how your touring career was going and everything? Was there anything special about that point, 1985, with Warning?
No, there really wasn't, except that that's one of the labels that I was told in advance. We're not going to do anything for you. If you sign here, we'll press up your records, but don't expect us to do any promotion. And I took it.
Wow.
Because I knew I was already doing what I had to do for myself. I had a how can I put it? I had a people that were interested in booking me in Europe. Of course, GRP Records was in the United States. They had their artists that they wanted to get behind. They had Larry Rosen said, no, in no uncertain terms, I'm not going to book you for anything. I'm not going to, clear. And I said, okay, that's cool. I'll hang with you for a while, because I felt comfortable there. I felt that the name carried a certain amount of quality, but I also knew that I was on my own, and I was also secure enough in my thoughts, and that I knew that I could do the best job for me, because what I had that they didn't have of me was me. Right. I played the way I played, and they didn't want it. You wouldn't see me on a GRP, on a concert tour that was sponsored by GRP and have all those other artists. That was great for them. Yeah. Maybe they had Chick Corea, they had God knows who else,
Yeah.
But Billy Cobham was just an afterthought. And that was fine for me. I was under the radar. I did my thing, and my big boast was that we made a date to play. I was there to play. I performed. My band was there. We caused no problems. Everything was clean, clear. We did our sound check. everything that was necessary and within the contract.
Yeah.
And all we wanted to do was get paid and go,
Right.
Because we knew that that is a reputation that was contrary to the whole music business scene of artists for one reason or the other. I knew that I could control that.
Yeah.
And I felt very, very secure about that. So I just did it.
Wow. And how would you compare touring back in those early days, Spectrum, Crosswinds, even working with Mahavishnu Orchestra, the touring scene then compared to today? Oh, well, we're just coming off of a pandemic, I realize. So maybe in the last 10 years.
I'd say that, when you look at the Mahavishnu Orchestra, that was preeminent, man. We're talking 1 year. I think that band was easily good for 250 shows.
Wow.
Okay. But again, so and what was happening, it couldn't happen without a very stellar, special management organization, which Nat Weiss at the time then did. He had that. So we had real follow-up. When I said we, I was just one of the guys paid to play in the band. It was about John and Nat, not we as a band getting Nat to represent us individually, or he represented the name Mahavishnu, but John in essence was the guy that he was committed to.
Right.
The rest of us, it didn't matter one way or the other, as time would prove down the road.
Yeah.
In my case especially. So there we go. But I never felt concerned. I felt that I took the opportunity to try to get him involved, fully involved in what I was doing, and found that he only was involved to a certain degree. It was more, maybe he did things I didn't know, but I can't talk about what I don't know. I can only talk what I saw and what I experienced, and it didn't go very far without my having to make some adjustments along the way.
Right.
And so no hard feelings. I'm still here. He's gone.
Yeah.
And I got to take care of me, and that's what that's all about. And that was a lesson that I was taught, and I learned that the things that I do on the scene now is built on what I learned then. And one of the aspects of my performance, and one of the areas in which I love to work and feel comfortable in, is education.
Right.
Back then, no one wanted to do clinics because it was below them. The feeling was drum clinics. Who needs a drum clinic? What are you going to talk about? How much money is in it?
Yeah.
No one saw the value except for select people like Dom Famularo and a few other people. But it was really under the bubble. It was not something that agencies weren't interested in because there wasn't any good money in it. They didn't care, but they were making money elsewhere. I get it.
Yeah.
But now, where's the agencies, and who's looking to do a clinic, and what do they talk about it at a clinic or a workshop or a master class or whatever you want to call it? Is it anything of essence that will be long lasting past the point that the drums look a certain way and are beautiful, are loud, and the guy who's talking may not necessarily know anything more about the instrument than exactly that.
Yeah.
That's all.
Think about how much the drum education has evolved. Case in point, I'm wearing my Percussive Art Society shirt. I just came back off of PASIC 2021. I was with Dom, of course. And Dom was definitely one of the pioneers of drum education. But now,
absolutely,
I think that now labels, musicians, what's left of labels, but musicians see the value in drum education as a platform because it will actually sell products as well as bringing together drummers, of course, educating people, inspiring people. But at the same time, when someone sees you play at a drum clinic, they're going to go check out all of your records because they're going to go, oh my God, he was such an inspiration. I want to play like he's playing. And I think it's all interconnected now. And I think that it's more realized now, right, than back in the day when drum clinics first started. And as you say, people didn't really see the value in it.
No, they didn't. I mean, there was, and I mean, I would be just also say that a lot of the things that I'm talking about, I never thought about 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
Right.
It's all natural. When I watch myself performing 40 years ago, and I see how much I'm doing to get to one particular play, I'm wondering, wow, I mean, that was the way things were then. That's all I knew was speed. That's all I knew was power, intensity. But now there's more. There's more. And maybe it's not about age. It's just I learned more. I see how to connect the dots better,
right,
musically, and to play the drums from a more musical perspective, standpoint. And I'm very blessed. I feel very blessed that I had to go through that process to now understand why I play as many drums as I do in situations, and then turn around and play maybe a 5-piece kit, because it means it has more meaning for me in a certain musical situation than I would play in a big drum kit. It depends on the dimensions of the drums. It depends on the musical integrity of the whole band. What kind of music we're actually playing and projecting and presenting to the public may only need a certain amount of voices for me to be the custodian of and bring some sounds together. That's what's really important for me.
Yeah. And I mean, you're talking about all the technical stuff from the early days of the fusion drumming, but the groove was always there. The groove in the pocket of your playing to me, is still that infectious thing. And that's what drew me to what I said about Warning. I mean, I was pretty young when Warning came out, and that album grooves so hard. But you hear that all throughout your career. So that is the one mainstay. So even you're saying, like, the music evolved, your playing evolved in a different way. Maybe that's a maturity or an experience thing, but the groove is still that infectious, amazing pocket from that I heard in the very early days that I still hear now. And so speak to that. I mean, as far as your passion and your connection to groove and the feel.
I'm addressing that now even better than I did before. And the funny part about it is, playing groove, it's not about how many notes you play, but how you shape that note in your performance, and what drum you play when, and with what kind of personality behind it, and the consistency. When you hear all these different cats that have played, who know nothing more than just laying it down all the time in the pocket, and they make that feel so good on a snare drum and a bass drum and a hi-hat and a crash cymbal, maybe, if they even do that. And that's all they need.
Yeah.
And you understand that even in a live performance, where the control of all of the music, all of the frequencies is at the hands of each musician, everybody's drawing from each other to make what I call a band face stable, where they're playing and everybody's on the same line of thought.
Right.
That takes a lot of study and to come and to learn to play a million notes per bar, only to find out that playing on the 2 and 4, man, and being mic'd with a snare, hi-hat, and bass drum is all fundamentally, it all comes down to that makes any serious student of music on any level sober. It's like, you mean I went all this way to end up at this one point where I thought all the stuff that I was studying would make me enhance and embellish what I knew already, to find out that I never needed that stuff. That I could just do this. That's heavy.
Yeah. Well,
Mhm.
but that said, from listening to you early on, you changed what people's perception of artistry behind the drum set is, what people's understanding of what artistry on the drum set could be. And so even if now, if we take somebody who's really, look at like the James Gadsons of the world, the guys that are just really laying down just groove.
Yeah.
Even there's still value in going through all of that journey of exploring what you can do on a drum set, and having that joy of it's, because it always seems to me watching you play, there's this joy and almost this childlike discovery still going on. And so that's such a super important thing in just developing your artistry. Even if at the end of the day I'm only going to play 2 and 4 and 1 and 3, it still has value to go through that discovery process. And so
it always will.
Yeah.
Always will. You'll never be in just keep in that pocket, man. It's always be there. It means it's actually, what makes you go.
Yeah.
And if you have everybody else online with you with that, then you're going to add a little bit more, because listen to other people and what they're playing based on what they hear you play. And all of a sudden, we've got this locked in loop of information amongst a minimum of 2 people.
Right.
That's just, and it perpetually expands, to as many as you want. As long as everybody's on the same page. Like Leonard Bernstein said, the only time that the New York Philharmonic ever played together was, I think, Beethoven's 9th once.
Wow.
In Carnegie Hall, and he felt like the building was going to levitate.
Oh my goodness.
Because and chorus and everybody's singing and in tune to them, to what's going on. It was past any he was kind of saying, I just flicked the switch and started everything. And when it was over, I turned it off. You mean, and when they played the last note, his hand came down and the band stopped.
Oh,
but everything in the middle, he didn't have to conduct at all. He could actually just sit there and smile, because everybody knew what they had to do, and they were playing their part as if they owned it.
Yeah.
Okay? You get to that point, man, I guarantee you, all of a sudden, 2 and 4, who cares? It's about how the band is moving together as a unit. So you be rocking.
Right.
You be rocking. And you don't care whatever you play is going to fit, because otherwise you wouldn't play it, because you're being inspired by everybody else around you who's being inspired by you.
Yeah.
That's where you want to be.
We should open up the chat to a few questions. And
okay.
So you're, on the Zoom window, you only seeing yourself, right?
That's right. I'm having a good time.
Well, I'm going to switch. Let me switch Zoom windows so that you and I will be side by side, because I have it set up in a different screen. But I'm going to do that just so that we can both be side by side and see each other. So I'm going to do a little switcheroony here, and then now let us bring us both in, and let's see if I can pull this off. Okay, so you're seeing me now, right?
No, I'm not seeing you.
Oh, you're still not seeing me? Oh, then maybe it's just your Zoom window. Click on the little Zoom icon, the little blue and white camera, and see if you can. Are you looking at your Zoom screen?
I'm only looking at a little screen of myself.
Okay.
No, I'm not talking. I'm only talking to Jim.
Okay.
And now yeah. And then now I got you, Jim.
You can see me?
I got you. Yeah.
All right, awesome, good. I just
Mhm.
want to make sure we can see each other for a little bit. So
Yeah,
I'm
I'm trying to figure out how to do it so that it could be even bigger, but I guess it can't be.
you might be able to go full screen on
What do I
your.
do?
So up in the corner of the Zoom window, if there's a little green dot, if you hit the green dot, it'll go full screen.
I don't see any green dots, unfortunately. I'm missing that.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Chat, pin,
Well, up in the top left-hand corner of your computer,
uh-huh.
there's like a red, green, and yellow dots in the corner. Do you see that or no?
No, and I can't figure out why.
Oh.
Now I got you.
Okay.
Now I got you. I got everybody. Yeah.
All right. There we go. Cool. So I'm gonna jump into the chat for a few minutes and just check in, see who's in here, see who has questions. If anybody
Okay.
has questions, definitely file them in. Some people saying hello. One of my young students, Nico the filmmaker, saying hello. John Gill saying hello. Bob Sears saying hello. He said, "Good evening, Mr. Cobham. I hope you're okay." I think Billy's okay.
I'm okay. Yeah, I'm okay. I just had a funny kind of thing happen, missed a step and ended up almost destroying myself in the process, but I'm okay.
Thank God you're okay. Thank God your hand is okay. And
everything's good. Everything's good.
Yeah, a little banged up, but no worse for wear, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Dave Clive saying good morning to two of my favorite drummers on planet Earth. That's very nice of him. From Dave Clive's Gretsch Museum. Anthony Cucina saying hello. Joe Morgolo saying hello. John Gill. Oh, John Gill asking Billy, did you study music theory and composition, which I asked you kind of earlier. So did you do a little bit of that or was none of that?
It's cool. Music theory, composition. Sure. I went to music and art high school. I also studied in the Naval School of Music. I mean, and it's fundamentally, the study is not just sitting down and, figuring out, okay, this is a one chord, this is a 4-chord, 5-chord. Okay, it's blues, but no. I mean, now let's apply it and see how it works, and figuring out how to phrase within the blues. That's a long-term process, because that as soon as you start to talk about blues, it opens up a can of worms, a Pandora's box of crazy stuff, man. And it's just because it can be so emotional, and the story, the feelings that come with this form, it is to be respected. That is the best way to do it. For me, it's to play a blues where the triplets are and the shuffle that you can't move it. It's like you gotta play at that speed, and it has to have a feeling. It's not just numbers and just accentuations, but you have to envision somebody walking like that, maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, these are the different things, and that's where music sonically reflects the personalities of people, who we are. That's why, again, music is fundamentally the only language that you cannot lie in. You cannot tell a lie when you play. Either you can play or you can't. And it's going to tell everybody that you can't play. Because in essence, you're the one that's doing it. And if it doesn't fit, if you don't fit the format, the framework of what's happening in the band, it's going to sound like the band and the drummer.
Yeah.
It's not going to sound like a musicians, including who play drums. No, as a unit, it's going to sound like the rest of the musicians. And oh yeah, by the way, you stand out. You playing drums, and that's how you sound.
Yeah,
done. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Best way to get fired from a gig is, do it for yourself.
Oh, there it is.
It's all about me.
There it is.
It's all about me.
It's coming. It's like the line is from the contractor. listen, if I ever hire you again, and then from there it goes downhill.
Yeah, 100%. Or if you get the band leader turning around and going, not on my gig, not on my
Yeah, here
gig,
you go.
drummer.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Or as Basie used to say when a guy would play a drum solo past two choruses, said it just, two, and that meant 2 weeks notice.
My buddy Scott Firestone's in here saying back to our earlier part of our conversation. He just said kick-ass album, so it could have been any one of the ones that we were talking about. My young Lucia Seminar is in here, and she said, she's asking how you're doing, and she wanted to know what inspired you to play jazz.
It was a natural inspiration because I heard it all the time.
Yeah.
I heard through my father, through the music that runs through our house, through the Latin music that's in the house and how that relates to it, and through the classical music scene. Those 3 elements seem to work best for me. I felt more comfortable there. And along with, back then, jazz was pop music.
Right.
Jazz was Ella Fitzgerald, Duke Ellington, Basie on AM radio.
Right.
All 24/7, man. Every 24 hours a day, there was a Frank Sinatra radio station. WNEW for about 6 hours of music by Frank Sinatra and singing with Basie or Nelson Riddle or all these different people. Woo! It's just something that you walked around the house and it was in the background all the time. You were singing the tunes you didn't even know.
Right.
And next thing you know, you're walking away with that. I'm playing drums, or if Latin, there was a Latin station, so there was Tito Puente, there was Tito Rodriguez, there was that Joe Cuba, there was Ray Barreto, and it just went on like this. How could you not want to do that? It wasn't about, I want to do this. It was like, this is what music is, right?
Right.
Why am I listening to it? It feels good to me, so I'm going to do what's in my comfort zone.
So that really happened organically because that's what you're being exposed to. That's what the language was to you.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
And that's where it puts your heart. Lucia also asked, what are some jazz musicians or drummers that you found inspiration from?
Elvin Jones, because of his approach to playing triplets.
Yeah.
When he played in mid-tempo presentations, triplets, they're very, very difficult to control. But once you hear how they flow, you realize that they reflect the way people may even function in different parts of the world. If you go south of the United States, you'll find more people working in triplet than you'll hear them playing in duple.
Right.
If you south of it can be south of the equator, it's triplets. North, it's duple. And it's like this. And when they play a triplet, but if you take that same stuff and you go down south, it's and the accents change and there's more air in between the notes, and it reflects how these people live, how they sing, how they dance. It's just the way it is, and so you really feel from Elvin that feeling. And it's just flowing and it's rolling, Or Roy Haynes, who plays the duple, but he doesn't play. He plays like sporadic, kinetic kind of thing. But it's always in time. He doesn't play spang tick-a-dang, tick-a-dang, tick-a-dang. So it's just a spang-a-lang, spang-a-lang. He plays bang, boom, bam, da, bam, 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 da, da. And he's playing accents right where they are supposed to be, you know? So the space between the notes, it's what he's not playing to give you a chance to fill that gap on your own, you know? And then you have Max Roach, and it's more academic, and it's right on the money, you know? Cherokee, everything. And it's just there. It's there. Very, very easy. And it goes on like this. You know, you have Buddy Rich the same way, but Buddy had more of a flow that was a little bit more rounded. And his presentations, even when he was playing and supporting the band, was personality that came through there. That was a bit different than the duple presentation of a Louis Bellson on two bass drums.
Right.
A little bit of a different little bit. And these guys, I'm listening to all of them. And at the same time, I'm listening to an O.C. Johnson or Kenny Clark, and where the quartet thing is so much more about what wasn't played. You know, what somewhere in the middle of that, there's some certain things that weren't played, but I imagine they were because it seemed to make sense that they should be. But so why play it? You know, he played the other thing. And this is all in concept and approach. That's what we have an imagination for. We take all of these people who came before us, Papa Joe Jones with his dancing shoes and the big powder puff bass drum beater that he used on a 26-inch bass drum to play in duet with Teddy Wilson. There was no bass. And he tucked his own heads, and he played, and they're playing at tempos with brushes, stride piano, and the way he was playing, it was so effortless that you go, God, that should be easy enough to do, right? Let me try. Mistake. You go, okay, we got to take this slower now.
Yeah.
How did he use the brushes this way? Where did this come from? He had other drums around him, but he rarely ever used them because he never had to.
Yeah. They were there just in case. Oh, man. Well, I'll tell you, man, I just saw Marcus Gilmore, Roy Haynes' grandson, play at PASIC, and he was using those big fuzzy beaters, two bass drums, two different size bass drums tuned very differently. And I kind of felt like he was paying some homage to you in a way. He was playing these little ostinatos with the two bass drums, with the fuzzy beaters, and then playing on top of it. I don't know if you've ever seen Marcus play, but it was.
No, I haven't, man. Yeah, Jim, I'm about to lose my battery, man, and I have nothing to plug into.
Oh no!
So I might lose you guys.
All right.
I don't know. I have nothing else. I have nothing to plug into here in London.
Well, what we'll do is this: if for some reason Billy disappears on us, we're going to, of course, we're going to check out Billy's website. We're going to go to check out how many spots are still open for the 28th.
I have no idea.
So go to stagesmusicarts.com /Billy-Cobham, and you'll see his masterclass series right there. Of course, it's Billy Cobham, Don Famularo, Dennis Chambers, Will Calhoun, Gary Husband. In fact, I'm going to pull this over our screen if I can and give people a quick look at the website, because that way they can see exactly what I'm talking about. There we go. I just pulled it onto the screen. So Stages Music Arts, right here. Billy Cobham's Masterclass Series, A Guide to Stress-Free Drumming. You can view the events. It gives you a little bit of background on it. Here's your instructors. Of course, my mentor and teacher, Don Famularo, is involved. Dennis Chambers, Will Calhoun, Gary Husband, amazing. And, of course, Billy. And then here's how to get tickets. Click right here. And this is the last one of the year, so make sure you don't miss it. And go to Billy's website, and you can check out all of this and more of what's going on. And so I'm going to take a few more questions. If your battery dies and we lose you, we're saying goodbye in advance, just in case.
Yeah. Yeah.
And And at least you guys know where to go to get tickets for Billy's masterclass. Which
Yeah, I'm surely. I mean, just let me know that you've been there, and but that you were here. We talked over, and it would be great to continue our conversation right over at the podcast on Sunday.
Absolutely,
which is I think the 28th. I think
it's the 28th next week on Sunday, and
Mm-hmm.
and by the way, there's that chart that you will. I think everybody gets the chart, right? That they can work on.
Yeah, sure. You get a chart, and you can play it.
And you can play
You
it.
can play it.
You get the track,
Mhm.
and I think the chart. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Yeah. So
By
amazing.
the way, anything that if any of you guys came before and you didn't get a chance to play on any of the other charts, because there's about 8 different, this will be our 8th presentation out of 12 months.
Wow.
Please feel free. We'll play it. We'll work it.
Yeah, indeed. Real quick follow-up question from Vincent LaRussa. Billy, who is responsible for assembling the musicians on the legendary record Spectrum?
Me.
Yes. The way it should be, right?
Yeah. That in a word, yes, me.
And continue, really continuing that ever since, really putting together the people that you connect with musically and these days still playing with the people that you love to play with.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw you at the Blue Note with Gary Husband, and just incredible. Yeah, I mean, the fact that he's a great drummer and an amazing keyboard player, and he's been playing with you for how long?
Man, I know Gary since he was 16, I think.
Wow.
So it goes back a ways, it's about 40 years thereabouts. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I mean, we started, no, that's not true. It would be about 30 years. Yeah. About 30 years. He started playing with me the late 80s.
Wow.
And it just goes by like a blip, him, Vinny Caliuta, knowing about, I mean, they came into my life kind of about the same time. Yeah. And Simon Phillips. Simon came into my life around 1986, so all of these guys, that was the wave with Dennis. He came into my life around then, and Calhoun. These are all these young people that I heard about, but I mean, and I was still walking around with the workshop, so therefore I had no choice but to find them. Yeah.
Simon always cites you as of course a big influence, and you can hear it to some extent in his playing. I think he really did say, like, he did the big kit, kind of modeling you, and and so the first time you met him, what was that like? Was he at that point already kind of in the big kit and doing it?
What he was doing was something that was phenomenal for me, and that was working with Alan Holsworth.
Yeah. And
right then and there, I went, this is happening, man. This is a whole nother thing, and I didn't even know he played piano. Wow. I was like, who is this cat? This is very interesting. And then I saw, I don't know who, I can't remember the name of the drummer. He lived a while, but he ended up playing with Alan, and Gary is playing piano. And I went, hello?
Are you're talking about Chad Wackerman at that point?
That's right.
Yeah.
And it was rocking. And
I
went,
my God.
Okay. That's great. That door opened up, and I think we did it around mid-90s. We did a first 93 thereabouts at Gary, Husband, Ira Coleman, maybe, and Peter Welpel. We did a quartet thing. We went around the States in a car, the whole,
tight
jazz scene, that back in the, throw everything in the car and go, Wow. And we did that. I was a driver, we set everything up and we played all over the place. And it was a great learning experience, man. Wow. It wasn't Ira, it was bass player. He lives in San Francisco. Plays bass in Garage Mahal. It's a great bass player, really underexposed for me. And I can't remember his name now, but he was from Germany, but he went to Berkeley. He worked in John's band, McLaughlin's band for a while, and I can't remember his name now. But great bass player. And he was in the band that tour, smoking.
Wow.
It was great.
Gary Weiss is in here. Gary Groovy saying hi. He said, seeing Billy play jazz with lefty traditional grip on a right-handed kit is a trip.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What'd you say?
He said seeing you play left-hand traditional grip on a right-handed kit is a trip. But you're a switcher. I mean, you play.
Well, that's how I used to play. I used to play right-handed fully.
Yeah,
and I found that it was inconvenient for me for what I had in mind to do.
Yeah.
So again, it's about how you approach playing the drums and how you set the drums up for you.
Right.
You know, otherwise you tend to lose. You know, if you just go, don't be afraid to make some changes along the way that makes you feel that you can experiment and come up with something that would be even more uniquely you, that would make your personality come through the music more for you.
Yeah. John Gill asks if you sing your rhythms while you're drumming. Do you sing?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm not thinking rhythms. I'm thinking music melodies. You know, so take Red and Yellow Cabriolet. I'm singing the form
right
while I'm playing, but I'm seeking as I'm envisioning the form as I'm playing. Musically, I'm seeking the right drum combinations that will reflect that form of the music. So it's just like a soloist on a frontline soloist would do. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I hum the melody, or I hum the changes.
You can.
And what's funny is engineers often tell me if I'm recording that, because the overheads will sometimes pick up my humming, but you don't hear it. In context, you won't hear it. But if you isolate the overheads and turn them up, you can hear me humming in the background. And I always love that connection when you hum.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So indeed, that to me is the most important connection, right?
Absolutely important. Absolutely important, man.
Gary said one more thing. He one of his favorite shows was sitting 2 feet in front of your bass drum at Fat Tuesdays, and watching you play in a very small club, and
I know
controlling that volume is not easy, right?
Well, yeah. The main objective is this: in order to be able to play with a band, you have to hear them.
Right.
So the volume has to be taken care of on its own. If you can't hear everybody else playing in the band, that means you're too loud.
100%. Yeah.
On the other side, if you can't hear yourself playing, that means the band's too loud.
That's
and
right.
They're not listening to you. So you got to come up with some kind of compromise. Yeah.
All right. So now I'm going to give you my speed round questions as we're getting close to wrapping up here. So, so by the way, everybody remember, Stages Music Arts, check out Billy's masterclass series, which is this is the last one of the year. And then in 2022, we're going to start a whole nother series. So, but try to catch this last one, because the tune's great. The personnel on this thing is great. And of course, the quality is always unbelievable. Billy's Guide to Stress-Free Drumming. And you're with 5 of the most prestigious instructors on the planet. So do it, get with it. Now for my silly questions. Ready? The first drum you ever owned?
Ludwig, 1959 metal. What's the name of it? Can't remember it now.
Like a
Super Sensitive.
Oh, Super Sensitive. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's on my
that was the
recording
first
kit right
drum.
now.
That was the first one I ever owned.
Wow.
Yeah.
The first record you ever bought?
Michel Legrand, the Umbrellas of Cherbourg.
Wow.
And that was Columbia Records, 1950, probably 1955.
First concert you attended other than your dad?
Oh boy, man, that's hard. I don't know. I know. Sly and the Family Stone at what's the ballroom on the east side in Alphabet City, just before Alphabet City. Oh man, can't remember it now.
Oh,
yeah.
Sly and the Family Stone
at the
Apollo?
No, we were downtown in the Village.
Oh, downtown.
And I heard about this band called Sly
Oh, and the computer dies. Well, listen, guys, it was bound to happen. Thank God we had him for the amount of time that we had him for. He's in London. He didn't have a way to hook up his computer to recharge it, so Billy's computer just died. I'm going to shoot him a text and thank him for being with us for the time that he was with us today. I have to say, I really appreciate everybody stopping in and being patient. Billy took a fall and he got pretty banged up, and so we started late. We were dealing with a few things, but Billy's okay, thank goodness. And our love goes out to Billy and our appreciation for his time. And I have to say that you guys following this show and letting me talk to these guests and these drummers is really, really great. And it's inspiring for me. And I hope that you're enjoying all these live streams. I'm going to keep bringing drummers to this platform and talking. I know I learn so much. I get inspired. Hopefully you do as well. And on Monday, again, we're going to do a weird time. We're going to do 3:30 on Monday. I'm going to have Klaus Hessler with me, a great, great drummer and educator and student of Jim Chapin and Dom Famularo. Amazing, amazing talent. And so we'll be on Monday. If you guys have any other questions that we missed for Billy, I will try to get that to him because he really is very, very generous with his time, and he definitely loves drum education and the drum community. So thank you, everybody. And I am going to, I guess, wrap this up at this point. And I got to get back to teaching. So again, Stages Music Arts, Billy Cobham's Masterclass, A Guide to Stress-Free Drumming. There's drumless play-alongs. It's really amazing. Here's your instructors: Billy Cobham, Dom Famularo, Dennis Chambers, Will Calhoun, Gary Husband. And click here to get tickets. Boom. Sign up. Do it. And I will see. Whoops. And now I'm missing. I will see you guys on the next live stream. Thanks so much for hanging with me today. I'm going to get into lessons and finish out my teaching day. And I'll talk to you guys real soon. Thanks for hanging. And I'm going to roll the titles.